Hello, folks. We're here today with American writer, director, and producer Jonathan Kesselman. Is from LA originally or elsewhere in
No, I'm
America?
from Los
LA
Angeles.
originally.
I grew up in the San Fernando Valley, North Hollywood, and when I was about 30, moved to New York for about 10 years and met my Irish wife, and now I'm Irish, or about to be Irish.
And you're over here, I believe, since around 2018, is it?
So I think it's 17 or 18, yeah. It's been over 4 years now. The pandemic has erased my concept of time and space, so I don't even know anymore.
And tell me, did you stay in Ireland because of the pandemic, or did you plan to
Uh,
live here anyway?
we moved here because Trump got elected, and I'm pro democracy in democratic countries, and yeah, America was not a good place for us anymore. And also, my son was turning school age, and there's a whole mass shooting thing there, and it's obviously the odds are incredibly small that anything would happen, but all the schools in America have these active shooter drills every month where they have to like pretend that a murderer is coming into, and so it's like why are we raising our son here when we can go to a country where it's a little more sane and safe, and yeah.
Where you are now, between Dublin and Louth,
Yeah,
and
mostly
we live in
Dublin.
the area between Newry and Carlingford on the
Correct.
Irish coast. Beautiful spot.
Yeah, I love it up there. It's really, really lovely.
So, John, tell me, you've obviously, between directing and producing, right, you've worked with a lot of well-known actors, such as John Hurd, Judy Greer, Jay Moore, Kevin McDonald, Hank Azaria, John Hamm, so forth and so on.
You've done your homework. This is amazing.
Now, on top of all that,
Yeah.
uh, creating your own content, basically, your films and your short films, the Hebrew Hammer,
Yeah.
which I thought was quite amazing. That was a short you had in college, and then straight out of the gate became your first feature.
Yeah. It was a 5 minute black and white short that kind of became sort of a really popular at USC. Went to school, and then suddenly it got even more like, yeah, it quickly blew up into a feature film, which is still kind of, I guess, what I'm most known for, at least in America. It didn't really play here in Ireland, but in the States, it's kind of a cult comedy, and yeah.
When the States, like, there's literally thousands and thousands of screens, isn't there, that you could air a film on all over the
Yeah.
country. Ireland,
Well,
you might have half a dozen chains. That's it.
yeah, well, there, I mean, it was in theaters for a second, like it was in very low budget independent film, and but it was shown on Comedy Central, which is a cable network out there, for 5 years, and it kind of built a cult following because that's where people kind of discovered it, and then it was on DVD, and so people kind of discovered it after it came out.
So you've also worked in a lot of writers' rooms for the likes of Disney, Nickelodeon, Comedy Central, Paramount, Sony, Fox, so forth.
Well,
From
writer
America.
director. I'm not. I act sometimes, but I'm more of a writer, director, producer, and no, an editor as well. I'm a
Well,
one man is what I am, Simon. You want some music? No.
so do you prefer directing and producing your own work because it's when I say easier, I mean it's less heavy. So and you can
No,
manage the
honestly,
story more.
it's all making stuff. I like directing because I like running the show, and I like having final say when it comes to the creative choices, and having and it's also like I enjoy directing because it's a lot of it's motivating people, inspiring people. A lot of it is you get to work with lots of really insanely creative people and create a space and environment for them to do their thing and empower them. And but I love editing now. Editing's kind of reignited my passion for filmmaking because it's like playing a creative video game all day long. And I'm obsessive. I have OCD, and so for me, editing and directing it's a good way for me to get to work my obsessive brain. So instead of obsessing about like my back, or like whatever issues are on my life, to focus all that nonsense into a project is really healthy for me. So, and editing has been great too, because then it's like I can do that. I just did this pilot in Cork that I cut as well. For this is like the first time I've cut on my own a half-hour pilot, and it was months and months of work after, and it was great because it's just me reworking material and making things as good as it can be, and yeah. So
So with the pilot you're talking about, was that a TV show or was that a
it's a
movie?
TV pilot called Compound Fractures, which is about to go to market in a couple weeks. Um, it stars George Wendt, from Norm from Cheers is
Yeah.
in it. Adam Bush, who's Warren from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Reese Barr, things like Curb Your Enthusiasm. It's funny show. It's a comedy about a cult that forms.
Excellent. So tell me this: you're obviously an American living here in Ireland. How's the process here trying to get films made or TV or any kind of project you have? Do you find it easier or tougher in Ireland?
It's getting movies made anywhere is impossible, almost impossible. It's like, I have projects I've been working on for 15 years, some for 6. I have a movie. The guy who financed this TV pilot now wants to do my Irish feature, which is my aside from the Hebrew Hammer sequel, is my passion project, and so that looks like it's going to happen this year. If he's a man of his word, he is so far. So that's exciting to me, but it's very difficult. But for me here in Ireland, I've worked actually much more than I was working when I was in the States, because in America right now, apparently I'm a white man, and that's heterosexual, and that's bad. And I
And you're
can't.
middle-aged.
In the middle age, yeah. I was told by a showrunner, a friend of mine, he's like, I cannot hire you. Like, I literally cannot hire another white male. I can't. And I've been told by but I come here and I'm no longer a white guy. I'm an American, and I'm Jewish, and I'm exotic. I'm different. And so, and pretty much everybody here is white anyway. It's a bad joke. You're not all white, but it's a monoculture. It's changing.
You're a comedy writer.
Yeah. But it is, I've worked a lot more since I've been here, and that's good.
And for grants, so when you got to get a grant, would you go to places like Screen Ireland, the Arts Council, and so forth, or private funders?
So my Irish movie, which is going to get made, Screen Ireland initially was we had a project manager, got paid a few $1,000s to write it, which is ridiculous, but like even to have their backing is really important because it's soft money and tax credits and stuff. But then my project manager, after getting it to where everybody was happy, because it was a cross-border movie, Northern Ireland and Republic of Ireland, and they signed off on it. They'd leave every 3 years. So a new person came in, and she was like, I don't like this. And so suddenly didn't have their support. So Northern Ireland had their support, but ultimately we're not going to take their money either. And since it's going to be private money, just how difficult it is. And I think also too, that system is set up to have a couple people that they work with. And, I kind of feel like maybe I might be paranoid that I'm sort of an interloper, because I'm not Irish. I've only been here for 4 or 5 years, and it is what it is. So yeah. Honestly, for the last years here, people who have money have found me, and they want to make things, and then that's I did a TV show called Gander. I was financed by an Irish tech executive, and that was great, and that was really fun. This thing I'm doing was financed by a guy in Cork who's fantastic, guy named Derek. So that seems to be.
Where would you make your livelihood in such projects? Would it be the fee to make these films or shorts?
No, I mean, I tell anybody who wants to get in my field, you need to basically be a person of, don't say no to anything. So I make my money doing commercial work, so I can do a commercial, so this movie, it's my second feature. It was a $500,000 movie, which means I made $18,000 for a year of work. But I was making so much of wrestling that I could take this job. And then afterwards, I did a TV commercial where I got paid $10,000 for 2 weeks of work. So, you know what I mean? So this stuff is fun and legacy and stuff that people were, keep, but the stuff where you make your money is corporate. I just did some stuff for Harley Davidson and one of their big sort of clothing manufacturers that paid me pretty well. I'm doing a lot of editing work now, just corporate stuff, which just pays very well. And so,
have you been doing workshops in Ireland?
I haven't had to. I've been teaching at Griffith College part-time, just because I've been teaching on and off for about a decade, and I love it. I just love it's really, it makes you think about your own filmmaking more, and sort of it makes you a better filmmaker. But also, I remember when I went to film school 20-something years ago, and just how excited I was about everything, and you lose that because it just becomes a job. And then to come back and see all these students who have that same energy, it's infectious, and it's nice. And it's nice to sort of, people really want this thing, and to help them kind of get into it, and sort of practically here's how, it's not like in LA, there's a lot of smoke and mirrors and bullshit. And it's like, well, no, this is a practical set of craft skills that I can teach you. And it's like, to give that to people is really nice, because, I'm 47, I'm not going to be on the planet so it's nice to kind of keep it going.
And in Ireland, I find, now obviously it happens across Europe and so forth, is when there's festivals on, I find that people obviously want to have the work done and so forth. But do you think it's fair to be charging people submission fees
No.
And then when we have the short, the feature on in the cinema, then they have to bring family and friends to buy more
No,
tickets.
not at all. It's a bringer kind of thing, and it's like But I also know these festivals have to, in order that they have to pay for the ability to be a festival. But no, I don't think it's fair. I think it's abusive and yeah, and yeah. But I'll say this: when I was in school 20 some years ago, film festivals were a really natural, really valid way of getting attention, to get discovered, or to get and with short films in particular, like many years ago, I did a short film for Funny or Die, and the guy who was my former professor did my sound. He was in Colorado. He was like, "Hey, can I submit to the Aspen Comedy Short Festival?" Sure. And I was happened to be going through Colorado, and I went. And I realized that short films and film festivals just doesn't make any sense, because you go in this room. There's 5 people in a room, so 5 or 10 people are seeing your short. When I can put it on Funny or Die, 500,000 people see my short. You know what I mean? And it's like, I'm not getting paid either way, but at least, we make things for people to see them and enjoy them and to leave stuff behind. And so, no, I don't think it's valid or fair. But for feature films, it's a way to sell your film still. I mean, I don't know if that's, like the major, festivals like Sundance, Toronto, South by Southwest, Cannes, Berlin, like they're markets. So basically, if you're all these people who acquire films go to see films, and there's hype that's built around the films from the whole festival ecosystem, and so you can make your money back, and if you make your money back or make your investors money back, you can keep making movies. So
tell us, as an example, with the movie Jimmy Westwood,
yeah,
would you hire someone to get you a distributor, or would you just try and go to those festivals and get the distributor?
Well, I wasn't a producer in this one. I just directed it and wrote under the table on it. But we premiered at the Austin Film Festival, and we were like, we won a bunch of awards. And then I think the producers, you get a sales agent. So they showed it to a bunch of sales agents, and sales agents' job is to basically go sell your film to distributors. They take a percentage. And so we had a company called Automatic Entertainment that was selling it. They sold it all over the world. Yeah, but so really at a festival, like and I don't know, with the streamers, how much, if it's happening still, but there's some massive sales of movies that would have sold for maybe $1 million, selling for like 20 million, because Netflix comes or Amazon comes, they don't need to monetize their money. They just want to have more press and more, high profile movies that they can talk about, more subscribers, and they have a pile of money. So they'll spend shit tons of money on small indie films, and I don't know if that's still the case, but it was a year ago or 2 years ago. So it's a weird business to be, the film business is, and I love movies more than anything, more than television. I mean, I love it because it's an hour and a half, and the story is told, and it's like you have more time to think about everything, every shot, every line of dialogue. You spend a lot more time working on one thing, and yeah, I hope it. As an independent filmmaker, it's hard to keep these things going. So I don't know. Yeah, I just like to make them really, very much. It's like So
that's where your money from commercials come in to feed that passion, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I mean, I do this not for money. I do this because I like making people laugh. That's like whenever, I've always, I was an unhappy kid, and I just saw, remember seeing a TV comedy, and I felt it was really powerful to feel super depressed, and that someone can lift you up, make you feel good. And I was like, I want to do that. And to sit in a room with people and to hear the laughter, there's nothing more wonderful for me, right? And so I want to leave more of that stuff behind. So, when I'm dead and gone, there's, people can, a little piece of me is still out there. And yeah, there you go. That's Excellent. It.
I know from wrestling, when I was in wrestling, the same thing. I escaped into professional wrestling as a child, and then I get into it and I loved it a whole lot. But then you find out it's a very toxic business. But I found a love for storytelling through that. And wrestling really it's a one-dimensional storytelling. And then when I got to see how, regardless if it's a short film or a movie, how actors or writer, director, everything just grows and everybody has their input, I found that tremendous. Just
amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing. Yeah, just to even have a script that's you've worked, and then to see when actors come on and just expand and improvise, and and everybody's working on the same thing, and it becomes just this great, amazing. It's beautiful, and the music. Like when a composer comes on and does his thing or her thing, it's just the whole process it's fantastic. Yeah.
I have 2 more questions here for you, and I'll let you go. First one is for any upcoming people, regardless if they're writers or they're trying to get a script in, or a movie. In Ireland, a lot of places need you to be a limited company first, which is not very realistic for
No.
most people. So, would you have any advice on how to get around that?
My understanding with the Irish system is that you need to have an Irish production company. So you just basically need to, you have a script that you think is really good, and you need to get it to like the 10, like look at what movies are being made by Screen Ireland. There's like only so many companies, there's Vico Films, there's Fastnet, there's, Element Pic. Look at all those and then submit your script to all those places, and hopefully one of them likes it and comes on, and then know that it's like the odds of getting a movie made are pretty much like getting hit by lightning. So as long as you know that going in, I would say, honestly, like, for me, work begets work. So if you can do something, do it, and then that'll lead to something else. Like this pilot leading to my Irish movie finally getting made. And the Irish movie has been, I think about it every day for the last 5 years, and we've had multiple actors wanting to do it. It's just such a hard game. I would say if you love making stuff, just go make stuff. Like, like with the technology, you can get your iPhone and a Final Cut Pro on your computer. You can actually make a movie if you can get your friends, and you only get good by doing it. It's like anything else, like the more you make, the better you get, the more you learn from your mistakes. But I would say don't wait for the break to happen. Don't wait for agents and managers. Don't do shit for you unless the very last, they can sell stuff maybe, but make stuff happen for yourself, and just, don't worry about the end result. Like, just enjoy the process of collaborating with people and being creative, and don't think there's like a pot of money at the end of the rainbow. You think about that, you should just go into finance or go into something else. Do this because you love doing it, and yeah.
And I suppose that's the great thing with having YouTube and other social media platforms, is it's a way to share your work.
Yeah.
Have a scene rather than having to wait for an unsolicited script or film. So
yeah, it's like I remember I went to Cannes and I met a sales agent who'd passed on my movie, and I know my movie is good. And it's like I've been doing this, and I've been in comedy for 20 something years, and she's never done any comedy, and and she's telling me why she passed. I'm like, I don't care. Like, there's other yous. Like, you're just a person in a cubicle. Like, you're not going to tell me. I made stuff that people still talk about 20 years later. Like, what have you fucking done? You know what I mean? So you have to trust yourself. You have to be open to feedback and to be collaborative, but you also have to, not let. There's a lot of whole middle layer of people that are there to say no to you, and you just have to sort of get around that.
Also, you being a comedy writer and being Jewish, there is some hilarious, obviously, Jewish films out there from the genre, the likes, whether it's Mel Brooks, Woody Allen,
Mel
Larry
Brooks,
David. It's just absolutely brilliant. And I think a lot of what people might know about Jewish religion and culture actually comes from films and TV shows from those people. Do you think it would be a reality or a possibility to make such a film or a TV show here in Ireland?
No. I mean, I've tried to get my sequel made, which of a known movie that's got a fan base, and I can't raise money for the sequel. People send me Jewish scripts, and I'm like, good luck. It would only be possible if the Irish Film Board or Screen Ireland or if somebody wanted to do it, and they basically said, like, we want to do this thing, then yeah, we can make it happen. But like, nobody's. Yeah, no, because it's like there's only 6 million. What is it, 6 million Jews total in the world or something like that? So it's not like a yeah. Which I'm excited about my Irish movie because it's basically like a Hebrew Hammer type. It plays with stereotypes of Irish and Americans, culture clash kind of thing. There's 80 million, Irish passports in the world. Just a much bigger kind of like audience. But yeah.
And with your movie, when do you hope to have when would you hope to have that released? All going well.
We're going to make it so, waiting for the budget and schedule from the financier, and then he says he wants to do it this year. So it's like really, it's him raising the money, but like we're saying this year, so it would be next year it'd be released because it takes about, once we rolled camera. I mean, I can tell you that once of prep, but like once we actually roll camera, it'd be about 4 weeks of shooting, and another 16, 17 weeks of post production. So it's it's about a 9-month process altogether. So it'll be next year sometime.
Excellent. Right, I appreciate your time here today. Just before we go, you have a YouTube channel which is under your name.
I'm very social media. I don't even know what I have it there, but I don't actually put anything on it. Go to my Vimeo channel instead if you want to see there's more stuff on my Vimeo page.
Vimeo channel. All right. There we go.
So Jonathan Here.
a link into that as well in the description. I saw on your YouTube channel you have a few clips from the Hebrew Hammer and a few of your shorts you've done for Funny or Die. And yeah, they're quite funny and quite entertaining. And you have a website as well, the worldwidemediaconspiracy.com.
And that's a better place to see my work, because I'll have most of the stuff that sort of in the videos, like sort of on the page. And thank you for having me on. It was fun.
No problem at all. I appreciate your time today, Jonathan. You're a very busy man. Thanks.